Hey friends, this is T again with another reaction video, and today we're going to be doing a reaction on Deadpool and Wolverine, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man jokes and new trailer footage. Now this is by Emergency Awesome. He's fantastic. I'm going to leave his link below, that way you can watch this video uninterrupted, because whenever I do reactions to videos like this, I usually have to put comments to it because I just don't want to just watch it all the way through. That's an issue. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this. But before we do, please like, subscribe, and share this video, and don't forget to hit that notification bell, that way you know whenever we come out with new videos. Okay, all right, let's get with it.
Mind putting your mask back on?
Super hard to eat while I'm wearing it.
It's super hard to eat when you're not.
That is so funny. Oh my goodness. Oh, I'm gonna love the banter between Wolverine and Deadpool, man. That's gonna be something else. I mean, because well, Deadpool is always funny, right? But even though Wolverine can get serious, but a lot of times it can be very sarcastic. And it's just great when these guys together. I think that's why so many people wanted it. And that's the reason why I believe Hugh Jackman came back, because so many people wanted it, including Ryan Reynolds. He definitely wanted him. I mean, he'd been like spoofing Wolverine and Hugh Jackman for years to do a movie with him with Deadpool, man, right? And like I said, you don't know how long Ryan Reynolds is going to play Deadpool, how long that character is going to last. So he wanted to, I believe he wanted to do a Wolverine movie with him at some point before he stopped doing Deadpool. And I think the same thing came down to, what's his name that plays the Hulk? I keep forgetting his name. But he also wanted to do a movie with Hugh Jackman, when him and the Hulk fight each other. And that would have been a great movie, but I really doubt if that's going to happen. I really do. Okay, but let's continue.
Huh. All right, finally aged.
Welcome back, everyone. It's pizza time. There's a brand new Deadpool and Wolverine scene, or a couple of scenes, with a couple really big Easter eggs. A lot of zoom.
I just want to say right quick, man. At first, when I first saw that, I thought it was a spaceship, but obviously it's Ant-Man's head. Okay, and I guess in this universe, not only did he die, but somebody took his head and used it, I guess, as a house. That is dark. That's very dark, man.
And enhanced moments going on during this. Yes, there's a lot of funny moments of them taking the piss out of each other, like Wolverine making fun of Deadpool being super ugly, like, could you put your mask on? Then Deadpool breaking the fourth wall again to reference real-life actor Paul Rudd, also recognizing that the MCU is a fictional group of movies that Marvel is making. But there's also a really big Tobey Maguire Spider-Man Easter egg going on in the background, so we'll break it all down. If you're brand new to the channel, be sure to subscribe to get all.
Yeah, definitely subscribe to Emergency Awesome. I mean, he's great, man. I love his content, and I watch his content anyway. So I figure sometimes maybe I can do a reaction to it, depending on what the content is. Obviously, I don't want to do everything he does, but I just sometimes there's certain things that he might talk about that I actually might want to do a reaction to, because I always enjoy it when I watch him. Okay, so why not go ahead and do a reaction to it, right?
All the videos.
Pizza time.
Apparently, this longer clip is actually playing in the Deadpool and Wolverine trailer in theaters. It's like a longer version of the trailer they released online, and these scenes appear during that. But that first clip is just meant to show you some of the funny energy between them, like what the vibe is going to be like for a lot of the movie, with them completely making fun of each other. Not being total friends, but like slowly growing a little bit closer. Right?
You know what? That's what I find interesting. And I'm talking about the Hugh Jackman Wolverine. He always been funny and sarcastic regardless, right? So the fact that him and Deadpool is going to be like throwing jabs at each other, man, it's going to be golden in this movie, right? I'm sure we're going to laugh our tail off like that first one. I mean, yeah, Wolverine can be serious and he can be dramatic, whatever, right? But whenever he's with Deadpool, man, and even though they might do terrible things to each other, there's some respect between the two. You just can feel it, right? You know, sometimes he's kind of entertainment to him. It's sort of like when you see Wolverine with Nightcrawler. You know, the ones that usually are considered kind of the comedians of the shows. And even though Nightcrawler can be deep whenever he wants to be, but a lot of times he's just funny and act crazy, just like Morph. And it's like Wolverine really gets along with them. You know, I mean, I know he's supposed to be considered a straight man in some ways, but for some reason he really gets along with the funny characters like Deadpool. So I really like it when he's around these characters.
Ryan Reynolds was posting as Deadpool, saying that it was them just bonding. Wolverine making fun of him for his very terrible looking face. He should feel a little bit worse because that's the cancer that makes his face look like that. There's always a ton of questions about that too. If Deadpool has such a powerful healing factor, why hasn't it completely healed his face to what it used to look like before he got cancer? Like, why doesn't it completely get rid of the cancer? The actual canonical answer for that is that Deadpool's healing factor wasn't activated till after he got cancer, so his healing factor just heals him back to his base state when it was activated. And when it was activated, this is what his face looked like. So anytime his face gets messed up or he gets blown up into pieces, he heals back to this state. Technically, the healing factor also just regrows all the cancer he had in this state and just sort of keeps him in this alive state. So theoretically, the only way to actually heal his face would be for them to turn off his healing factor, like basically nullify his mutant powers, have another mutant completely heal him, and then turn his healing factor back on. But the actual Tobey Maguire Spider-Man Easter egg that everybody's
Yeah, that was interesting, man. I never even thought about that. Dog, man, so his cancer never went away. It just continuously active. But it's just not killing him. But it is affecting his face, his overall look. And that's pretty creepy, man. Like I say, it's certain characters that I don't know about, certain little things, but they change things in comic books anyway, you know, to explore things in more depth. Like, you know, with Spider-Man, for example, when he got bit by a spider, you've come to find out there was another girl who got bit by the same spider. Her name is Silk. I believe that's the name of it. And then you find out there was more to it, and then just it being radioactive. They really go into depths when it comes down to these characters. Just like Jessica Jones, for example, right? It wasn't enough, you know, she was on vacation with her family, and then she got dosed with radioactive stuff, like, you know, Daredevil, which is silly, okay? So they had to explain it in a more detailed way. I mean, they try to stay closest to the original, but they got to make it make sense because, you know, children these days, they, you know, they're more mature than back then when I was growing up, right? We were pretty mature, but not like the kids now. So they want to be able to accept what's really is happening. That's why I think X-Men 97 is so realistic now because, you know, these kids ain't going to accept anything less, you know, so don't play them stupid, basically, okay? So, but that's very interesting about Deadpool. I thought it was just whatever created him made him look like that. I didn't realize it was his sickness that did it.
Talking about is actually from Joe's Pizza at the beginning of his Spider-Man 2 movie. If you look in the background and you flip the shot, like you have to flip it because the text is the other way around, look at the menu that's written on the window. There's a bunch of Joe's special dishes. So it looks like they're in Joe's restaurant from the Joe's Pizza shop at the beginning of Spider-Man 2, or a version of that from another universe.
This 29-minute guarantee is a promise, man.
Serious to me too, Mr. Aziz.
You're fired. Go.
Please, I need this job.
You're fired.
But give me another chance.
Like we have Joe's Easy Omelet, 45 cents, French toast and eggs, breakfast sandwiches, 85 cents, coffee, 15 cents, specials, Joe's Famous Chili Bowl, 65 cents, Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, 85 cents. So
now I wonder if that really exists in New York and they just referencing it, or if it is made up. If Deadpool really trying to reference Spider-Man by bringing Joe's Pizza. I mean, that's a common name to throw in somewhere in New York. Joe's whatever, Joe's Italian food or whatever. I mean, whatever, right? They use that name Joe's, right? You see that a lot all over the place. So I wonder if it's just a coincidence, or if they really referencing Spider-Man. That's a big leap in my opinion, but who knows?
it kind of seems like they're in a version of Joe's Pizza from Spider-Man 2, but either in another universe where this is in the past because all the prices are like a tenth of what they would be in present day with all of modern day inflation. Like there's no way you could go to New York City and buy a breakfast sandwich at a normal restaurant for 85 cents. Maybe like
I have to say this, man. To lose a job delivering pizzas, man, that's an all-time low right there. That is an all-time low. I mean, it's bad enough you lose a quality job, a job you're making really good money. It's bad. Don't get me wrong. It's bad either way. But to lose something like that, though, that's pretty low. It's bad enough you don't really want to do it because people just do it for extra money. They don't do it because they love it. But then to lose that job, man, you have to really, 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 especially if it's your main job, you really have to feel low about that.
50 years ago, but the actual font here looks similar to Joe's font during the pizza place at the beginning of Spider-Man 2, so it just seems like they're going for a lot of Spider-Man 2 Easter eggs here, and there were rumors that Mr. Aziz was actually going to cameo during the movie in some way as a variant. If you look in the background of this too, I can't tell if this is on the Void, like if this restaurant just exists on the Void planet and is still operating, because it looks like a normal diner restaurant and they're just having some food and some drink there. It could either be happening on the Void or it could be happening on another Earth as they're traveling across the multiverse. I guess it could make sense if a version of Joe's Pizza Place got pruned at some point in the past, like the distant past of New York City.
Stop! Stop! Parker, you're late, man. Always late, huh?
I'm sorry, Mr. Aziz. There was a disturbance.
The other Tobey Maguire Spider-Man Easter egg a lot of people spotted in the previous trailer is when Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting each other, Deadpool actually pulls some Tobey Maguire Spider-Man moves from the first Spider-Man movie when he was ducking and weaving around Flash Thompson. As far as I've heard, Tobey Maguire...
Yeah, it's interesting, too. It's like, I catch some Easter eggs, but sometimes I just it really goes over my head. Okay? The way some people really examine these movies and really catch on to this stuff, to me, is impressive. Because I would have never thought about this. And I have seen the Spider-Man movies, and I do remember that scene, but I would have never made that connection. Thank goodness for people like this. I think it's important. And I think it's going to be tons and tons of Easter eggs in this movie. And I'm going to have to really start looking more into things. I'm sure it's not easy. Certain people are talented enough to catch on to this stuff. I'm not so talented by it. But, you know, some things, once in a while, some things I do notice, though. But that's pretty good. I like that.
Maguire Spider-Man himself is not supposed to appear in any of the cameos during the movie. There were a bunch of reshoots that they started doing recently for a little while to add even more cameos based on the ones that we saw in the trailers. And obviously there are meant to be a lot of cameos in the movie that they're not going to be putting in the trailers, like hidden cameos and Easter eggs. I don't think Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man is supposed to come back until at least Avengers Secret Wars. I talked a lot about the history of his attempted crossovers with Hugh Jackman's Wolverine and the X-Men characters. It goes way back to before Tobey Maguire ever became Spider-Man in the first place. Way back when Fox was making that first X-Men 2000 movie, Hugh Jackman was busy becoming Wolverine for the first time. Sony was still trying to figure out their first big Spider-Man movie. They'd gone to James Cameron. He was going to have Leonardo DiCaprio be his version of Spider-Man in the 90s. That didn't wind up working out. There's a bunch of fascinating stories about what was going to happen in James.
It's interesting, though. Leonardo DiCaprio and what's his name, Tobey Maguire, are best friends. They're best friends. So he was going to play Spider-Man at first, but he didn't get the part. I believe somehow he probably helped him out to get this part. I mean, I think Tobey Maguire is perfect as Spider-Man. I think he's great. But I just believe, this is my opinion, though. I believe Leonardo DiCaprio probably helped him get the part. You know, because, I mean, both of them, I'm sure both of them knew that they were trying to get the Spider-Man part, right? So they probably made some pact. Look, if I don't get it, I'm going to see if I can try to get you to get it, too. And stuff like that. Because they do almost everything together. I mean, not everything, but almost everything together. I mean, they like grew up together, basically. You see photos of him and Tobey Maguire, like, just hanging out as kids, man. So they like best friends, okay?
James Cameron's version of Spider-Man, like that's where the organic web shooters came from with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. James Cameron is the one that came up with that idea instead of using the mechanical web shooters. It's one of the few details that survived from his movies when they eventually did Sam Raimi and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man. So when they were making the first X-Men movie, they wanted to have a gag, and they had a Spider-Man cameo in the background. This is not Tobey Maguire because he hadn't been cast as Spider-Man yet when this happened.
Wait! I am completely in the wrong movie.
Okay, I know that was probably meant as a joke, I guess, right? That's something else, man. I didn't even know that happened.
But because Sony and Fox were talking about doing a crossover between Spider-Man and the X-Men because they were so popular, they just decided to try this out. It was just meant to be a funny gag, which is why it only wound up on the blooper reel, and it was basically like a deleted scene from the movie. Like, there was no way they were going to let this go in the movie. Yeah. Within a couple years, they hired Sam Raimi, then they found Tobey Maguire, they made their Spider-Man movie. But during that movie, because a couple years had gone by and the first X-Men movie blew up so big, like everybody loved it so much, became so popular, Fox and Sony had worked out a deal to have a crossover between Hugh Jackman's Wolverine because he had become so popular himself within the X-Men. He was going to show up in New York City and cross over with Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, but he was going to be in his Wolverine suit, like the black leather suit. We got a bunch of Easter.
I never liked that outfit. I never liked it. Maybe in a different type of movie that might have been cool, but I never liked it. I love the fact he's wearing the yellow now. I think everybody's happy about that. That outfit, even when it first came out and I was excited about the X-Men coming out, because all you had in your head was, you know, the comic books and the animated series. And then finally they're coming out with a live action to something that most people didn't even know about, the X-Men. And now to be able to be introduced to the world. But then they came up with these black outfits. Even then I didn't like them. I accepted them, but I didn't like them. Even to this day, I still don't like them. Thank goodness they're doing the yellow outfits now.
Easter eggs about that recently too on X-Men 97.
Almost forgot.
Oh, am I going to war or a circus?
What'd you expect? Black leather?
You actually go outside in these things? What would you prefer? Yellow spandex?
On the day that they were going to film Hugh Jackman's Wolverine scene with Tobey Maguire's
I did catch that when I watched X-Men 97. I caught that real easily. See, I could catch some of these Easter eggs, but a lot of them I miss.
Spider-Man, I think it was either the suit did not arrive or the suit wouldn't work, like they couldn't get it to do what they wanted it to do, so they elected not to do the crossover cameo scene if they couldn't do him in the suit for some reason.
You know, the one thing I didn't like about the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man was he didn't have that sense of humor like Spider-Man had in the comic book. That was the one disappointing thing about it. Other than that, I liked him. But Spider-Man's supposed to have a sense of humor. And it comes out a little bit now in the Spider-Man now, but not as much as I wish it was. Because he's always funny in the comic books. And I was hoping somebody was able to capture that essence of him.
It sounds kind of like a stupid reason not to do a cameo scene because so much of Wolverine later in the movies was him not in that black leather suit. But if you've seen a lot of fan art like this here with Wolverine in his black leather suit and Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man, that's what that's referencing, is their crossover that never wound up happening that now they can finally pay off in Avengers Secret Wars. No coincidence that it just happens to be the anniversary of this hit tweet by Sony announcing Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man 4. I'm hoping that they never wind up deleting this because when they release Tom Holland's Spider-Man 4, they're going to have some opportunities for a lot of jokes.
Yeah.
The other big Easter egg here, too, is obviously the big Paul Rudd joke about him not aging.
Huh. Paul Rudd finally aged.
So also notice here, zoom in and enhance, Deadpool and Wolverine walk up to the dead Ant-Man base of theirs. Wolverine also has Deadpool's 2 adamantium swords, B and Arthur, still sticking through his body when they walk up, as if it's no big deal, because his healing factor just working overtime to close the wounds. I think it's also meant to be an Easter egg for this comic book panel too, where he's got all the katanas sticking out of him after a big...
I love that outfit, man. You know, I used to thought the brown, the black and brown, I think it's black and brown one. I used to like that one, and I was like, when I first saw the yellow one from the old comics, and I was like, oh, that don't look good. But now I love it, man. I really, really love this. Love this outfit, man. Love it.
Battle. Reminder again that the TVA gives him upgraded katanas that are adamantium, which is why they're able to block Wolverine's claws. It seems like the timeline here is that they fight in front of the wreckage of that 20th Century Fox sign that got pruned, sent to the TVA, all the other stuff that got pruned there in the background. I'm sure there'll be all kinds of Easter eggs in the background, like I think there's a Vancouver landmark in the background too. They fight each other and it just goes on and on and on because they both have adamantium, they both have healing factors, so they just wear each other out until that roving band of Mad Max evil X-Men that Cassandra Nova is controlling, like her evil X-Men team, show up on all their Mad Max vehicles that are Easter eggs from other Marvel movies. They eventually capture them and just bring them back to the dead Ant-Man base. So that's why they walk up and Wolverine still has Deadpool's swords sticking out of him from their battle. This whole joke about Paul Rudd finally aging is all because Deadpool knows he's a fictional character in a movie because he's breaking the fourth wall and the fifth wall sometimes too. He knows that the MCU Marvel movies are fictional stories starring real-life actors.
Yeah, Paul Rudd, man, everybody be thinking he like aged backwards or something because he always looked good, man. You gotta admit, I don't know what he's doing. He's eating, what kind of lotions he using or what vitamins, but he always looked good, right? I mean, you always can see certain signs of age in people's faces, but a lot of the times these actors either get serious wrinkles or their face get really bloated looking. They just look weird. I'm not exactly sure what Paul Rudd's doing. Whatever he's doing, he should sell it. He'll make a lot of money doing that.
actor Paul Rudd, who people in real life started saying doesn't age because it almost looks like he started getting younger about 10 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that.
Yeah,
Deadpool has also referenced the MCU itself in the previous trailers.
I smell what you're stepping in, Sensei. Your little cinematic universe is about to change forever. I'm the Messiah. I am Marvel Jesus.
That's him basically joking that he's going to essentially mess with the MCU, reboot the MCU, so to speak. That sort of gets into Marvel's larger plan to actually do a soft reboot on all the Marvel movies after Avengers Secret Wars. So
they need to, and starting with the young Avengers, starting with that. If you're going to reboot anything, definitely reboot that. The stuff you plan on coming out with after, I mean, because they're supposed to hit this after scene with Miss Marvel, you know, trying to recruit for the Young Justice. You know, back in the day, I would have thought that would be a great concept. But now that we all know what Disney is trying to do, it's not going to work out. And they definitely need to reboot that. They definitely need to go the X-Men 97 route. And a lot of these other companies that's leaving Disney behind. And I don't understand what it is. I mean, they still trying to make X-Men, you know, female-centric. And I don't understand what it is. Okay, somebody that did something completely different that worked. Okay, instead of just piggybacking off of that, let's just go ahead and continue what we were doing that's destroying Disney. I mean, it doesn't make any freaking sense. Look, you kind of understand why they're doing it, but now the new question is why they continue to do it, knowing that it's not working. That's the new question now. Why are you continuously doing it? Before, I believe you thought it was going to work. I thought, you know, virtual signaling to the highest, okay? Even though you were losing a little bit of money at the beginning, but, you know, you at least thought it was going to work. Now you got proof, scientific proof it's not working. And still you want to go that route. Still, that's the big question now.
I think he's going to be messing with the MCU timeline, so to speak. Like, he's going to be dipping into a lot of the previous Marvel movies and messing with previous moments. Sort of the way he did at the end of Deadpool 2, but with MCU movies. That's probably why you see all these scenes from the previous Avengers movies, the previous Captain America movies, like other Marvel movies on screen here at the TVA. Here's where it'll start to break your brain, though, like where it gets really meta. When you think about whether or not Deadpool thinks of himself as real-life Ryan Reynolds playing the fictional character Deadpool. Like, he knows that he's a fictional character in a movie, like he knows the Deadpool movie is just a fake movie. But does he know that he's also Ryan Reynolds, a real-life actor, playing the Deadpool character?
See, that's going a little bit too deep for me, okay? I mean, of course, is it really important? It's not really important. And hopefully they'll never mention it because it's not necessary. The fact that he mentioned Ant-Man and Paul Rudd and everybody else, right? That's funny. Even, what's his name? Oh, man, I be forgetting people's names like big time. It's probably age right now, man. I'm getting older. I can't remember everybody's freaking name. But he mentioned other people, other actors when it comes down to this movie. But I doubt if he ever talk about himself. Why? What's the point of that?
Because in the past, especially in the comics, like this actually started because of what they did in the comics, he's made jokes about Ryan Reynolds speaking of him as if he was not the actor. That actual Easter egg happened before the first Deadpool movie, and it kind of inspired Ryan Reynolds to become the Deadpool character. Like, Deadpool joked about Ryan Reynolds before Ryan Reynolds ever became Deadpool. Then there's the Deadpool 2 post-credit scene, and they've already explained that that's all canon to what's happening in this new Deadpool and Wolverine movie. And in that post-credit scene, he kills Ryan Reynolds before he could make Green Lantern, but that was also long before he made the first Deadpool movie, this version of Deadpool that he's playing, killing himself. Meaning if he were the real Ryan Reynolds under the mask, he'd be killing himself before he was created and thus wouldn't exist anymore. So if he's still alive after this, he'd have to technically not believe that he is Ryan Reynolds, the real-life actor.
I think Ryan Reynolds learned a lot from that Green Lantern. He learned what not to do. And that's what I'm talking about. It's possible for you to learn instead of doubling down on things like this. He understood that Green Lantern was crap. As much as people wanted that to succeed, it was garbage. It was. Especially the outfit, the artificially computerized outfit he was wearing was garbage. He would have been doing better off with a neat suit. To me, a combat suit. Nothing like the old Green Lantern outfits in the comic books. Even though that was good for its time, I'm just saying now it should be like something like a combat. That's what I'm hoping the new Green Lantern and the new Superman movie coming out, or hopefully, I guess his name is Guy. I can't remember, but hopefully he'll wear one of those really cool strategic type Green Lantern outfits instead of just that plain goofy spandex. Okay, I think that's what I love about Deadpool. It looks like an actual outfit, not this spandex or anything like that. It just looks cool.
Couple other ways to explain it, but I think part of the idea is they're trying to avoid ever fully answering the question and just clowning on it because it's supposed to be super confusing and meta, and that is the joke. The other way you could technically explain it, and it would still all make sense within the logic that they've established in the previous Marvel movies and shows. During Avengers Endgame, and then during the Loki series, the way they explain time travel and variance is that you can't change your own past, you can only create alternate futures. For example, Loki during the events of the first Loki season becomes a variant when he takes the Tesseract and goes off-book, creating a new branch timeline that the TVA prunes before it can actually turn into like a fully alternate universe and then takes him back to the TVA too. If that Loki were to go back into the MCU main timeline and kill the original version of Loki before Thanos killed him, it wouldn't completely erase himself from existence, he would still exist. Because killing the original wouldn't kill the variants. Remember, you can't change your past, you can only create new branch timelines.
All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop it here. You know, all of that is not really that important to me. You know, it's going a little bit too deep, but I'm really looking forward to it. And I love Emergency Awesome, the information he comes out with, because I'm never disappointed with the stuff. Everything seems very relevant normally. So I really like it, what he comes out with. And I don't know where he gets his information from, man. He must got some inside sources or what, man. I wish I had that kind of access. I wish I did, you know, but it is what it is, man. This guy been doing this for such a long time. So eventually, I'm sure somebody that he was eventually able to get to know somebody that might have this information. So I'm not too surprised by that, okay? But I'm really starting to really look forward to this movie. I really like at the beginning when he was talking about it's hard for him to eat with the mask off, man. That was really funny. I mean, Hugh Jackman can be funny when he wants to, especially when he playing Logan. I love it. It's just, his sarcasm is just pure fun, man. I love it. And having these two together, and obviously Ryan Reynolds knew that was going to be a great spark between the two, right? It's almost like a love-hate relationship in a way, right? And I was very surprised when they said that Deadpool really respected Captain America. So, because he don't seem like he respected anybody, but he does when it comes down to Captain America. And I believe Ryan Reynolds understands Deadpool really, really deep. You know, not too many people will dive into their characters like Ryan Reynolds do. And I think that's necessary. Because, look, I'm going to give you a perfect example. Storm, when it was played by Halle Berry. I wish she took that part seriously, but she was more on the lines of, I'm not getting enough parts, they're not using me in a good way. I believe she could have turned that situation into something really great if she really researched the character. Personally, I would, if it was up to me, I probably wouldn't have cast her, even though she was a great, you know, actress, and I think at the time award winner. But the fact that she was cast, she should have did everything she could to be more like Storm, but it didn't seem like that. It would just seem like Halle Berry in a wig, in my opinion. She didn't really try to be that character, and I wish she did. But Ryan Reynolds have no problem with acting like Deadpool. In a way, he's kind of like Deadpool in a way. It's almost like that's his character. And Hugh Jackman, even though he don't always act like the kind of Wolverine like in the comic books or in the animated series, it's enough for me, the way he acts, the seriousness. And when it comes down to romantic relationships, because you know that's part of the reason why they got him, so he can have romantic relationships, because he's an attractive man and he's tall, which it was just the opposite of Wolverine. Wolverine more like a truck driver than anything else, right? A blue collar man, okay? So they tried to clean him up a little bit by getting Hugh Jackman, but still, I still like Hugh Jackman as Wolverine. And I'm glad he decided to do it one more time. And I'm assuming this will be one last time. But I'm really glad he decided to do it. And I'm really, 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 really looking forward to this movie. Please subscribe to Emergency Awesome. He got some great stuff, a lot of videos. And he seemed to have the insight when it comes down to this type of material, okay? All right, I really appreciate all of you coming by. Thanks again. This is T, and peace.